You know that feeling when the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and the world is silent, it's dark, it's cold, and every part of you screams to stay in bed. But here's the truth: this moment right here is where success is built or broken. Because while the rest of the world is sleeping, the few who rise are the ones who win. They don't have superpowers, they don't have more time. They just have something that 99% of people don't: discipline when no one is watching. Success isn't about luck, it's not about talent. It's about what you do when no one sees you. That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. The 4 a.m. mentality is the key. It's the quiet battle you fight when the excuses start creeping in, when your mind tries to tell you it just 5 more minutes. But champions, they don't negotiate with excuses. They get up, they move, they execute, and that's why they win. Because every time you hit snooze, you're saying a no to your dreams. And every time you get up, you're proving to yourself that you are built for more. So let's break it down. What is the 4 a.m. mentality and how do you develop it? Discipline over motivation is the foundation of success. Too many people wait for motivation to strike before they take action. If they believe they need to feel inspired, energized, or in the mood before they can do the work. But that's the biggest lie that keeps people stuck. If you rely on motivation, you will always be at the mercy of your emotions. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, and other days you won't even want to get out of bed. That inconsistency is why so many people fail to reach their goals. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel, it doesn't wait for the right moment. It simply executes no matter what. The people who achieve greatness, the ones who transform their lives, aren't the ones who always feel like showing up. What? They are the ones who show up even when they don't feel like it. They have trained themselves to push past the voice in their head that says, a not today, and replace it with, and now is the time. Think about the most successful athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders. They don't rely on motivation to train, work, or make decisions. They have built habits that make success inevitable. They wake up and do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not, because they understand that discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like any muscle, if you don't train it, it weakens. That's why some people struggle to stick to their commitments, because they never train themselves to follow through when it's uncomfortable. When you wake up at 4 a.m., your mind will tell you to go back to sleep. It will come up with every excuse in the book. You need more rest. It's too early. You can start tomorrow. But discipline is the ability to hear those excuses and move forward anyway. It's the ability to recognize that your mind is always trying to take the easy way out and refuse to listen. The first battle of the day happens the moment your alarm goes off. If you can win that battle, you set the tone for everything else. You prove to yourself that you're in control, not your emotions. People who struggle with consistency often say they lack motivation. But what they really lack is discipline. Because when you have discipline, motivation becomes irrelevant. You don't need to feel good to take action. You just take action because it's who you are. Discipline turns your goals into a non-negotiable part of your identity. Oh. It's not a matter of you'll do it. It's just what you do. This is why successful people wake up at the same time every day, even when they don't feel like it. Why they work out even when they're tired. Why they show up even when no one is watching. Because they understand that doing what's necessary, regardless of how they feel, is the key to winning in life. Most people don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they allow their emotions to dictate their actions. They let a bad mood, a tired morning, or a lack of inspiration derail their progress. They tell themselves, I'll do it later, and later turns into never. Discipline eliminates that. It removes the option of quitting. When you have discipline, you don't negotiate with yourself. You don't argue with your mind. You simply do what needs to be done every single day. Developing discipline starts with small actions. You don't wake up one day and suddenly have unbreakable willpower. You build it by proving to yourself over and over again that you can follow through. You start by keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. If you say you're going to wake up at 4 a.m., you wake up at 4 a.m., not 4:05, not 4:30. The second that alarm goes off, you get up, not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the identity of someone who is disciplined. You teach yourself that your word matters, and every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken that identity. You send the message that your commitments aren't serious. That's why so many people struggle with consistency. They've trained themselves to quit. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about making a decision over and over again to do what needs to be done. You will have days where you don't feel like it. You will have moments where your mind fights you, but those are the moments that define you. The greatest victories happen when you push through resistance. So when you choose action over excuses. People often ask, how do I become more disciplined? The answer is simple. Stop giving yourself a choice, remove the debate, stop negotiating with yourself. If you make a commitment, follow through. No exceptions, no excuses, no waiting for motivation. The more you do this, the easier it becomes. Eventually, discipline becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. Imagine if you applied this mindset to everything in your life, your fitness, your career, your relationships. Imagine if you stopped waiting to feel ready and just did the work every single day. How different would your life look in a year? In 5 years? Success isn't about massive leaps. It's about small, disciplined actions repeated over time. Most people give up because they expect results too quickly. They think that if they don't see progress immediately, it's not working. But discipline means trusting the process even when you don't see instant results. It means putting in the effort day after day, knowing that success is a long game. It's about showing up even when no one is clapping for you, even when no one notices. Because at the end of the day, success is about what you do in private. If you can master discipline, you can master anything. It's the foundation of every achievement. It's what separates the good from the great, the successful from the unsuccessful, the ones who make excuses from the ones who make things happen. And the best part, discipline is 100% within your control. You don't need talent. You don't need luck. You just need to decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer wait for motivation. You will no longer allow your emotions to control you. You will build discipline one decision at a time. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off at 4 a.m., remember this. Success doesn't start when you feel like it. It starts the moment you decide to move, no matter what. The moment your alarm rings at 4 a.m., you are faced with a decision. It's the first battle of the day. And whether you realize it or not, this moment determines everything that follows. It's not just about waking up early. It's about proving to yourself that you are in control. It's about setting the tone for the day, showing up for yourself, and making a powerful statement. I am in charge of my life. Most people lose this battle before it even begins. They hear the alarm groan and hit the snooze button without thinking. They tell themselves just 5 more minutes, not realizing that those 5 minutes are costing them something much bigger than sleep. They are losing momentum before they even start the day. They are giving in to comfort, allowing themselves to take the easy way out. And when you start your day by choosing comfort over discipline, that choice echoes through everything else you do. Winning the first battle means resisting the temptation to stay in bed. It means overriding the part of your brain that craves ease and choosing action instead. And it's not just about getting up. It's about getting up with purpose. The way you start your morning sets the stage for the rest of your day. If you get up sluggish, checking your phone, scrolling through social media, and moving without intention, that mindset follows you into everything else. But if you get up with energy, discipline, and clarity, that momentum carries through your entire day. Think about the most successful people in the world. They don't wake up and waste time. They don't negotiate with their alarm clock. They don't let their feelings dictate their actions. They win the first battle immediately by getting up and getting moving. They understand that how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you can control the first few minutes of your day, you can control the rest of it. Your mind is going to resist. It's going to come up with every excuse imaginable. I didn't sleep enough. I'll start tomorrow. I don't really need to wake up this early. This is where most people lose. But if you override those thoughts, if you train yourself to act before your mind talks you out of it, you develop an unstoppable level of self-control. The more you do this, the stronger your willpower becomes. One of the best ways to win the first battle is by removing decisions from the equation. If you give yourself the option to go back to sleep, you'll take it. If you let yourself negotiate with excuses, you'll lose. But if you treat waking up at 4 a.m. as non-negotiable, something shifts. It stops being a choice and becomes an identity. You are the kind of person who gets up and gets to work, no matter what. There is something powerful about taking action before the world wakes up. When you rise before the sun, before the distractions, before the chaos of the day begins, you enter a different mindset. You get a head start. You take control instead of reacting. This is why the most disciplined people swear by early mornings. It's not just about the time, it's about the mental edge it gives you. People who struggle with productivity often think they have a motivation problem. They don't. They have a momentum problem. When you start your day with a win getting out of bed the moment your alarm rings, you build momentum. That small victory fuels the next action and the next until you find yourself in a flow state. But if you start by hitting snooze, you do the opposite. You begin your day in a state of delay, hesitation, and procrastination. The secret to winning the first battle isn't just waking up early. It's what you do immediately after. Most people stumble out of bed, check their phones, and waste time in a fog. That's not winning. That's not winning. Winning means getting up with purpose. It means moving with energy, even if you don't feel like it. It means setting your mind up for success by taking control of your morning habits. One powerful technique is the 5-second rule. The moment your alarm goes off, count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up. This prevents your mind from slipping into hesitation. The longer you wait, the more likely you are to convince yourself to stay in bed. But if you move immediately, you bypass the resistance. Another way to solidify this habit is by creating a morning ritual. When you have a structured, intentional morning routine, you eliminate the mental fog that comes with waking up. You don't waste time wondering what to do next. You just execute. Your routine should be designed to put you in a peak state as quickly as possible. This could include exercise, journaling, cold showers, deep breathing, or any activity that shifts you into high performance. The goal is to train your brain that mornings are for action, not hesitation. Winning the first battle also means removing obstacles the night before. Set up your morning for success by making it easy to take action. If your workout clothes are laid out, you're more likely to put them on. If your alarm is across the room, you're forced to get out of bed. If your goals for the day are written down, you start with clarity instead of confusion. Small changes like these remove friction and make success automatic. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that one bad morning doesn't matter. They tell themselves, it's just one day. But discipline doesn't work like that. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you get up at 4 a.m., you reinforce the identity of someone who follows through. Every time you hit snooze, you reinforce the identity of someone who quits before they even start. The choice may seem small, but over time, it determines everything. Think about the compound effect. Missing one morning doesn't seem like a big deal. But what happens when that one morning turns into 5, then 10, then months of inconsistency? Suddenly, you wake up years later, still stuck in the same cycle, still wondering why success hasn't come. Winning the first battle isn't just about one morning. It's about setting a standard for your entire life. This is why self-discipline separates the successful from the average. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about the ability to consistently do what others won't. Most people want to succeed, but they don't want to do what success requires. They want results without sacrifice. They want the rewards without the work. But the people who win, they show up every single day. Imagine what would happen if you committed to this one habit, winning the first battle for the next 30 days. Imagine if you woke up at 4 a.m. every single day, no matter what. Imagine if you refused to hit snooze, refused to negotiate with excuses, refused to start your day in a state of hesitation. What would your life look like? How much progress would you make? The difference between the person who succeeds and the person who stays stuck is simple. One wins the first battle and the other doesn't. The one takes control of their mornings and the other lets their mornings control them. One chooses discipline and the other waits for motivation. You don't need motivation to succeed. You need action. The second your alarm rings, you make a decision. Do you control your life or does comfort control you? Win the first battle and you set the tone for everything else. Lose it, and you spend the rest of your day making up for lost time. So tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off, don't think, don't hesitate, don't negotiate, don't negotiate. Just move. Because the moment you do, you're already ahead of 99% of the world. The moment you wake up at 4 a.m., you have an opportunity that most people will never take advantage of. The world is quiet. There are no distractions, no emails flooding your inbox, no phone calls, no social media pulling at your attention. It's just you and your thoughts. It's you and your thoughts. This is the time when you can focus on what truly matters, your goals, your growth, your future. But what do most people do? They waste this precious time. They wake up without a plan, without direction, and they let their mornings slip through their fingers. If you want to succeed, if you want to build the kind of life that most people only dream about, then you need to understand the power of intentionality. Because waking up at 4 a.m. isn't enough. Winning the first battle isn't enough. What truly matters is what you do with those early morning hours, how you use that time to create momentum, to set yourself up for success, to build the kind of mindset that makes you unstoppable. Success isn't about luck. It isn't about talent. It's about habit. The small, seemingly insignificant choices you make every single day. And one of the most important habits you can build is starting your day with purpose. Not just waking up, but waking up with intention. Because the way you spend your mornings determines the way you spend your days. And the way you spend your days determines the way you spend your life. Most people wake up and immediately go into reaction mode. They check their phones, scrolling mindlessly through notifications. They respond to messages. They let external forces dictate their mindset before they even get out of bed. And when you start your day reacting instead of leading, you've already lost. You're letting the world control you instead of controlling your own destiny. The most successful people don't start their mornings like this. Mornings like this. Exit. They don't wake up and waste time. They wake up with a plan. They wake up knowing exactly what they need to do to set themselves up for success. They wake up and take control because the first few hours of your day set the foundation for everything that follows. If you spend them scrolling, procrastinating, or moving without purpose, you've already lost momentum before the day even begins. But if you wake up and take deliberate action, if you wake up and own your time, you create momentum. You start the day on your terms. You build confidence. And that confidence carries into everything you do. So what does this look like in practice? It starts with a simple but powerful concept, a morning routine designed for success, a routine that eliminates decision fatigue, removes distractions, and puts you in a peak state of mind before the rest of the world even wakes up. The key to a powerful morning routine isn't complexity, it's consistency. You don't need an elaborate 2-hour ritual filled with complicated steps. What you need is a simple, effective set of habits that put you in control, and it starts with one rule: no distractions. The moment you wake up, your mind is at its most vulnerable. It's looking for direction. It's looking for cues on how to operate for the rest of the day. And if the first thing you do is check your phone, your mind gets flooded with external inputs. You start reacting instead of creating. You start consuming instead of producing. You let the world decide your focus instead of choosing it yourself. This is why the most disciplined people avoid their phones in the morning. They don't start the day by consuming content. They start the day by creating clarity, by focusing on their goals, by taking care of their minds and their bodies before they engage with the outside world. One of the most powerful things you can do in the first hour of your day is to move your body, exercise, stretch, take a cold shower, do something that forces you into action, because action creates energy and energy fuels momentum. You don't need motivation to move. You need movement to create motivation. The moment you start moving, your brain wakes up, your body wakes up, and suddenly you're ready to attack the day instead of dragging yourself through it. But movement alone isn't enough. You need mental clarity. You need to prime your mind for success. And the best way to do that is through intentional focus. Spend time journaling, setting your intentions, reviewing your goals, anything that forces you to think proactively about your day instead of just drifting through it. Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, go through the motions, and wonder why they're stuck in the same place year after year. But the people who break free, the people who achieve extraordinary things, they don't live by default, they live by design. They wake up every morning with a clear vision. They know what they want, and they take action to move toward it. One of the simplest but most powerful habits you can develop is writing down your top priorities every morning. Not a long to-do list filled with busy work. Just 3 key things that, if accomplished, would make your day a success, because clarity leads to action and action leads to results. Your morning is your launch pad. It's your foundation. And if you don't build that foundation correctly, your entire day is built on shaky ground. But when you wake up with intention, when you take control of your time instead of letting it control you, you put yourself in a position to win. Think about the version of you who is disciplined, the version of you who follows through on their commitments, who doesn't hit snooze, who doesn't waste time, who gets up and gets to work. That version of you already exists, but you have to make the decision every single day to step into that identity. And it starts in the first hour of your morning. If you wake up without a plan, you drift. If you wake up with intention, you dominate. It really is that simple. So don't waste your mornings. Don't give in to distraction. Don't let the world pull you in 100 different directions before you've even set your own. Wake up with purpose. Move with intention. Take control. Because the way you start your day determines everything else. And the people who master their mornings, they master their lives. When your alarm goes off at 4 a.m., what's the first thought that crosses your mind? Is it excitement, determination? Or is it doubt, exhaustion, resistance? That tiny moment when you're deciding whether to get up or hit snooze, that's the moment that defines everything. That's the battle between who you are and who you want to become. Most people lose that battle before the day even begins. They tell themselves they'll wake up early, but when the alarm sounds, they hesitate. They let a fleeting moment of comfort rob them of the life they could be building. And here's the hard truth. Comfort is the enemy of success, because success isn't found in the easy choices, in the warm bed, in the extra hour of sleep. Success is found in those difficult, uncomfortable moments when you choose discipline over desire. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think they need motivation to win that battle. They think they need to feel energized, ready, excited, but motivation is unreliable. Some days it's there, some days it's not. And if you're waiting to feel motivated before you take action, you'll never build the life you want. Discipline beats motivation every single time. Every single time. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when every part of you wants to stay under the covers. Discipline is what makes you go to the gym when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what makes you sit down and do the work, even when you're tired, frustrated, or uninspired. And the best part, discipline is a skill. It's something you can train. It's something you can strengthen, just like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. And the easiest way to train discipline is through small, consistent actions, starting with your mornings. Think about it. Every morning you have 2 choices. You can give in to comfort or you can build discipline. And the way you win that battle is by making the decision before the moment arrives. If you wait until 4 a.m. to decide whether or not you'll get up, you've already lost. Your brain will find every excuse. But if you make the decision the night before, if you commit to yourself and remove the option to fail, then when that alarm goes off, you don't hesitate. You move. And when you do this consistently, something powerful happens. You start rewiring your brain. You start shifting your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, and you start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who does hard things, someone who shows up no matter what, because discipline isn't about feeling like it. It's about doing it anyway. Most people don't understand this. They think discipline is something only a few people are born with. They think it takes some extraordinary willpower. But the truth is, discipline is built in the small moments. The moment you choose to get up instead of snoozing, the moment you choose to drink water instead of soda, the moment you choose to focus instead of scrolling through social media. And each time you make the discipline choice, you reinforce the belief that you are in control, that you are someone who follows through, that you are building a future that most people only dream about. This is how success is created. Not in the big dramatic decisions, but in the tiny everyday choices that add up over time. And the hardest part, most people won't see your effort. They won't see the mornings you force yourself to get up, the late nights you push through exhaustion, the sacrifices you make. They'll only see the results. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you have something special, but you'll know the truth. You'll know that discipline is what got you there. And the beautiful thing about discipline, that the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. The things that used to feel impossible start to feel natural. The workouts that used to be painful start to feel routine. The focus that used to be a struggle starts to feel automatic. But it all starts with a single choice, a single decision to be better, to stop giving in to comfort, to stop making excuses, to start taking control of your life one disciplined action at a time. And once you commit to that path, there is no limit to what you can achieve. When you wake up at 4 a.m., something happens that most people will never experience. The world is still. The distractions are gone. There's no noise, no emails, no messages pulling at your attention. It's just you and the path ahead. In those early hours, you have a rare opportunity, an uninterrupted window of time to focus on the things that truly matter. But here's the catch. Most people don't take advantage of it. They waste it. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, they'll get serious next week, they'll wait until they feel ready. And that is why most people never reach their full potential. Because success doesn't come from waiting. It doesn't come from hoping things will change. Success is built in the quiet hours, in the unseen moments, in the choices you make when no one is watching. It's built when you choose to push forward instead of giving in. It's built when you take control of your habits, your mindset, your time. And that starts with how you begin your day. The moment your alarm goes off, you're faced with a decision. You can hit snooze, roll over, and steal a few more moments of sleep. Or you can rise. You can choose action over comfort. You can step into the day with purpose, ready to build momentum before the rest of the world even wakes up. That single choice may seem small, but it's not. It's a reflection of how you approach everything. Because if you can't win the first battle of the day, how will you win the bigger battles that life throws at you? This is what separates the successful from the stagnant. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the willingness to do what others won't. It's the discipline to show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because success is not about how you feel. It's about what you do. Most people believe they need motivation to get started. They wait for inspiration, for some magical surge of energy to push them into action. But that's the biggest lie. If you rely on motivation, you will fail, because motivation is unreliable. Some days it's there, some days it's not. It's not. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll be inconsistent, and inconsistency leads to failure. The people who achieve greatness understand this. They don't wait to feel motivated. They create momentum. They start moving even when they don't want to, because they know that action leads to energy. They know that once they start, their brain will catch up. That's how discipline works. It's not about waiting for the right moment. It's about making the moment right. Think about the most successful people in the world. They don't wake up and scroll through social media. They don't start their day reacting to messages and emails. They don't waste time in a fog of procrastination, They wake up and own their time. They have a plan, a purpose, a routine that sets them up for success. They take control from the moment they open their eyes. That's what you need to do. You need a morning ritual that eliminates excuses and sets the tone for the day. It doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be intentional. The first hour of your day should be sacred, dedicated to your goals, your mindset, your growth. Because if you don't prioritize yourself first, the world will steal your time. Start with movement. The fastest way to shift your state is to move your body. Stretch, exercise, take a cold shower, do something that shocks your system into action. Because when you move, you wake up. You send a message to your brain that says, I am in control. I am ready to attack the day. Then, eliminate distractions. The moment you pick up your phone, you give away your power. You allow the outside world to dictate your focus. Instead, spend time in silence, reflect, journal, meditate. Do something that puts you in control of your mind before you let external influences take over. And then set your intentions. Decide what matters most. Write down your top priorities, not a long, overwhelming list, just the 3 things that will move you forward. Clarity creates action, and action creates momentum. If you don't know what you're working toward, you'll waste your energy on things that don't matter. This is how you take control of your day, not by waiting, not by reacting. They go through the motions, letting life happen to them instead of taking charge. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they never seem to make progress, why their dreams always feel just out of reach. But that's not you. You're here because you want more, because you know you're capable of more, because you refuse to settle for a life that's anything less than extraordinary. And that starts with how you show up every morning. That starts with the decision to stop hitting snooze on your goals. That starts with the commitment to wake up, take action, and own your time. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to do what others won't, to show up, to do the work, to build the discipline that separates the successful from the rest. Because the truth is, success isn't about one big moment. It's about the small choices you make over and over again. It's about how you spend your mornings. It's about whether you take action or make excuses. It's about whether you decide to be the person who gets up and goes after it or the person who stays in bed waiting for life to change. Everything you want is on the other side of discipline. It's on the other side of consistency. It's on the other side of the moment you decide to stop making excuses and start making progress. And it all starts at 4 a.m. When the alarm blares at 4 a.m., your body resists, your mind throws every excuse at you. Just 5 more minutes, just one more snooze. But that exact moment, that fleeting hesitation is where your future is decided. Because success isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in small moments of discipline. Most people assume that successful individuals have something special, some secret formula, some natural drive that keeps them going. But here's the truth. The only thing separating them from everyone else is the decision to show up, no matter how they feel. Success isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about building habits that make discipline second nature. The ability to take action before your mind talks you out of it. The ability to commit before comfort pulls you back. The ability to push through resistance, not because you feel like it, but because you've trained yourself to. And that starts in the early hours of the morning, before the rest of the world is awake. Because the way you start your day is the way you live your life. Think about it. When you wake up at 4 a.m., you're already ahead. While others are sleeping, you're moving.
While others are making excuses, you're creating momentum.
And that momentum compounds. It builds a version of you that is unstoppable. Someone who doesn't wait for motivation, but creates it through action. But here's where most people go wrong. They assume that waking up early is enough. They assume that setting the alarm is the secret. It's not. What matters is what you do with those early hours. You can't just wake up and scroll through your phone. You can't waste time deciding what to do. You need a system, a routine, a plan that eliminates hesitation and forces you to take action. Because hesitation is the enemy. The moment you hesitate, you give your brain the chance to negotiate, to look for the easy way out. And that's why you need automatic habits that remove the decision-making process. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether to put on clothes before leaving the house. These things are automatic, ingrained in your routine. And that's how discipline is built, by making it automatic. If you struggle with waking up early, don't leave it up to chance. Set your alarm across the room so you have to get up. Lay out your clothes the night before. Write down your first action of the day so there's no thinking involved. Remove the option to fail. This is how high performers operate. They don't rely on willpower. They don't waste time deciding. They build systems that make success inevitable because willpower is weak. Willpower fades. If you rely on willpower to wake up early, to exercise, to work on your goals, you will fail. The key isn't willpower, it's structure. It's setting yourself up so that taking action is the easiest choice. And once you build that momentum, you become someone who doesn't just talk about success. You become someone who lives it. But that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repetition. It happens when you win the small battles again and again until they no longer feel like battles at all. At first, it's hard. At first, it feels unnatural.
Oh.
But then something shifts. One day, you wake up at 4 a.m. and it's not a struggle anymore. One day, you push through a workout and it feels normal. One day, you sit down to work on your goals and you realize you're no longer forcing yourself. This is who you've become, and that's the goal. Not to force yourself into discipline, but to make discipline your default. To become the kind of person who doesn't hesitate, who doesn't negotiate with excuses, who doesn't wait for the right moment, because every moment is the right moment. The secret to success isn't in grand gestures. It's not in overnight breakthroughs. It's in the small daily decisions that compound over time. It's in choosing to wake up even when you don't feel like it. It's in doing the hard things even when no one is watching. It's in committing to your future self even when the present version of you wants to quit. Because most people quit because most people give up when it gets hard. Most people let comfort win. But the ones who refuse, the ones who push through, the ones who commit, they are the ones who build unstoppable momentum. And once you build momentum, once you stop hesitating, once you make discipline your identity, nothing can stop you. There's a moment in every decision where doubt creeps in. It's that split second when your brain tries to convince you to take the easy way out. When the alarm rings at 4 a.m., your body wants to stay in bed. When it's time to hit the gym, your mind tells you to skip today and start fresh tomorrow. When you have work to do, distractions suddenly seem more appealing. This is the battle that determines everything, not just your morning, not just your productivity, but your entire future. Because every single time you hesitate, every time you entertain the thought of stopping, you strengthen the habit of quitting. And that's where people fail. Not in the life-changing opportunities. They fail in the small, everyday choices. The tiny, seemingly insignificant decisions that add up over time. Because success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do consistently. You don't become disciplined by accident. You don't suddenly wake up one day as the person who takes action without hesitation. You become that person by practicing every single day, by shutting down the voice in your head that tells you to wait, by refusing to entertain the idea of quitting, by moving forward even when you don't feel like it. That's the key. Action before emotion. You don't wait to feel motivated. You don't wait to feel ready. You act first and the feelings follow. Most people operate the other way around. They wait for motivation before they take action. But here's the truth. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll feel inspired and other days you won't. If you only take action when you feel like it, you will fail. Discipline means acting despite your emotions. It means doing the hard things even when every part of you wants to stop. It means training yourself to move before your brain talks you out of it. And the way you do that is by shrinking the gap between decision and action. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. The more time you give your brain to negotiate, the more likely you are to quit. That's why hesitation is dangerous. It's the doorway to excuses, to procrastination. You don't sit there thinking, do I feel like brushing my teeth today? You just do it because it's a habit. That's what you need to create with discipline, automatic action.
When you wake up, don't think, just move.
But if you keep pushing, if you refuse to stop, if you keep taking one step after another, eventually you reach the top. And once you're at the top, the boulder starts rolling on its own. It builds speed, it becomes effortless. Discipline is what matters. And discipline is something you build through small daily decisions. You don't need to make massive changes overnight. You don't need to overhaul your entire life all at once. You just need to win the small battles. It's about taking action even when you don't feel like it, even when you're scared, even when the odds are stacked against you. Because let's be honest, most people let fear dictate their lives. They let self-doubt whisper in their ears and convince them that they're not. They wait for permission that they don't actually need. They wait for everything to be perfect when perfection is an illusion. But the ones who break through, they understand that success doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait for the right moment.